This is Channel 13.
Living side by side, dreaming two by two. You are the reason that we do what we do for you. Yeah, for you. We do it for you on WIBW.
Welcome into our WIBW Digital News Center on this another Throwback Thursday. We bring you inside the WIBW Video Vault, proudly presented by Ace Plumbing, Heating and Air, and Appliance. And a little bit of a more serious topic this week, and a little bit of nostalgia here, especially for those of you who've been in the Emporia area. You know, what's interesting here to me, Doug, is how this actually, Doug Brown, chief photojournalist, and the person who is spearheading our archive conversion project, which is what sparked all this Video Vault stuff. He is taking our really old tapes, digitizing them, and you actually ran across a story that you thought, you know what, we should check into this particular company and kind of do an update, see what they're still doing.
Yeah, it was pretty early on probably in the process, and it's a company I wasn't familiar with.
But yet you were.
I didn't realize I was familiar with it until I watched the piece, and it reminded me, well, several years ago, we had a snowstorm, icy windows. Sean Wheat was outside, I think, trying to scrape his windows. Wasn't happy. He made a post. Imagine that, Sean making a post. That's kind of his thing. He's a social media
Sean
guy.
on social media?
But about his scraper, and then a box just showed up at work. This was one of the several scrapers that were.
You still have it?
Yes, I still
my.
use it. It's in my work car. But yeah, it was saying, hey, try these. You're going to find these to be great quality. We're from Emporia, Kansas.
Right.
And I got to thinking, wow, that.
What you found was exactly that. Hopkins Manufacturing is the name of the company, and they're all over. Their products are there they sell them in Walmarts, all sorts of places, and it is, yeah, exactly what you would think.
And this one, well, it says Hopkins right on the front, but it says
Right
Hoppy.
on the
So
blade.
Hoppy maybe was what this particular model is.
Well, there, let's see, right there. Just look at your ice scraper and see if it's like right up there on the little blade part.
It's the
Hoppy.
I could recommend the Hoppy because I've had this for many years now, and you know, many ice storms, many snowstorms. It's done a good job. So, you know, that's I always thought, well, we should go back there and do another story, and I guess you know would have been after we received these, we thought, wow, that's kind of interesting.
And we did go back and do
I
another
thought
story.
so.
Which one do you want to show? The older stories
Let's show
first,
the
though?
newer one.
The newer one first.
Just
okay.
so people, can get an idea of what's, you know, what the current product was about.
Yeah, so we went in 2019 to Emporia after this act of kindness, really, that they showed to us. And, yeah, exactly. We'll just get right into it and show you this story from Hopkins Manufacturing in Emporia back in 2019.
When it comes to winter tools and accessories for your car, Hopkins Manufacturing in Emporia is the leader.
We sell millions of these items a year right here in Emporia, Kansas. We have a full lineup of ice scrapers, snow brushes, snow tools, and in fact, Hopkins is the one that really invented this category in the retail market. Started out with an inventor that Hopkins partnered with, the old mitt scraper.
Griswold says their employees are very proud of their products, which is one of the reasons Judith Hart decided to send some of them to the 13 News station.
We try to put the products in buyers and consumers' hands so they can really feel the difference. I think that's one thing that Hopkins prides itself on, is coming up with products that are more innovative, easier to use, saves the consumer time, and gets you out of the cold quicker. We've been the winter care leader for 44 years, and so it's been a strong part of Emporia and the people that are used to making those products and seeing them out on the market. You can see here there's a whole lineup of products, and you can find these at all your big retailers out there, all the major box players, and so we're widely distributed, and we're glad to help people out through the winter season that just won't go away.
So that was in let me turn down this so you don't hear us echo so much. So that was in 2019, and really exactly what Doug had said is how it started, was that Sean Wheat was doing a live shot with an ice scraper, and that lovely employee noticed that
he had an inferior product.
Maybe we needed a little help.
Yeah, needed something better.
And so they decided to show, and we were all kind of like, really? We didn't know that that place was in Emporia. And he alluded to, the person that Juan Cisneros was that reporter, if you remember. Juan, the gentleman that he interviewed in 2019 alluded to what kind of put the company on the map so many years ago. It was something that will warm your car.
Or your fingers, a combination of a scraper, like a mitten.
And a mitten.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, Doug was looking back in the archive, and you won't believe what he came across. Apparently, those who came before us in the newsroom already knew about Emporia, Kansas' role in the invention of the mitten scraper, if you will.
Well, and you'll see, I think the story explains it a little better, but I think they partnered with somebody, I think it was an individual came up with the idea, and of course, this company made it a reality.
Isn't that how ideas start? Mm-hmm. We will show you that part of the story, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story, when we return to the WIBW Video Vault presented by Ace Plumbing, Heating and Air and Appliance in 1 minute. Welcome back into the WIBW Video Vault in our WIBW Digital News Center on WIBW Plus, proudly presented by Ace Plumbing, Heating and Air and Appliance. Glad to have you here and really thinking about folks in Emporia as they saw another loss in their community this week with Hopkins Manufacturing announcing that they would be closing. That company has more than 100 employees, had more than 100 employees. Apparently, KBOE Radio reported that they were trying to get a buyer to take over the facility. They thought they had one in place, and then that sale fell through, and so the company informed workers that they would be closing effective immediately, except for about a dozen folks who are going to stay on to help the plant through the shuttering process. Fingers crossed, because we know folks in Emporia, we honestly have been thinking of you with more than 800 people with the Tyson plant closing there last year on Valentine's Day, almost exactly a year ago. So, you know, folks in Emporia, we know, and we are thinking of you. Hope you all are finding much success in the next chapter of your lives that you didn't necessarily want to be pursuing at this point in time. But it did get us thinking about the history of Hopkins Manufacturing and how innovative they have been, the role that they played in really our everyday lives. You're holding an ice scraper, right? Someone has to make those, and folks in Emporia should be very proud because a lot of people have your work in their hands and in their vehicles.
Local
and we might need it
right
this
here.
weekend. The First Alert Weather Team says you might need it this weekend.
We're not looking that far ahead.
Your fingers are
we're
crossed.
looking to
Your
the
fingers are
past
crossed.
today,
We're not going to start
not
March.
ahead. That's right.
Yes. And so in the past, you found something from 1985.
1985, Warren Parker. Warren was around for years at WIBW, did everything. Great photographer, great reporter, and I believe they called it Parker's People. He would go around and just find interesting people, interesting places, interesting stories. And and he had his own unique way of telling the story, so you'll kind of see a little of that in this story too. But yeah, he ventured down to Emporia. I'm not quite sure how he got the tip. Like, you know, we had it basically presented to us in a box. Hey, here's a story.
Yeah.
But Warren found out about it, went down, and got the true behind-the-scenes story of how everything began.
Okay, and that is from 1985. Doug actually ran across it in our archive, and so here you go. Without further ado, Warren Parker's story from 1985 on the little innovation that was made right in Emporia, Kansas at Hopkins Manufacturing.
Before too long, these windshields in the mornings will be covered with ice and snow, and for years we've been cleaning them with something like this. We've also worn a glove at times to help out. Well, somebody decided to put the two together, and listen to what happened when they did.
It's increased our volume some 300% in the last 2 years, and certainly hasn't hurt our profit scene at all. And it's done a lot for the community and a lot for us as a visual image for the community, and we're just tickled to death with it.
This is Hopkins Manufacturing Company in Emporia, Kansas. A man in Iowa who originally came up with the idea agreed to let the company make the Hoppy ice scrapers in a mitten a couple of years ago. Since then, sales for the company have gone through the roof. Workforce has gone from around 100 to at times above 500, and those sales have gone from about $5 million a year to projections of $25 million for this year. The scrapers retail for as little as $4 for simulated sheepskin or leather, and as much as $125 for plush Norwegian blue fox. Some even come equipped with a tiny flashlight inside. This year, the company expects to sell at least 8 million scrapers. So opportunity is alive and well, and that's encouraging. It almost makes you think you could improve on one of these. Warren Parker, WIBW News.
I told you Warren had his own way of telling a story.
Plush Norwegian fox. I'm still stuck on that. That's pretty fancy.
I'm taking the $4 one.
And I've heard of using like a plastic credit card, debit card. But I don't think I've ever seen a mousetrap used.
No, the
to
mousetrap, it's the old adage about improving the mousetrap.
Oh,
making
well, I
a
thought he
better
was using it to scrape his windshield.
No, he was showing that maybe somebody would step up and try to improve the mousetrap.
Okay.
Since somebody was able to improve the scrape.
Okay.
That's my take on it.
Okay, I get it. But a flashlight in it too? I mean, that was even more advanced.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm thinking I'd like to have one of those.
Very
yes.
cool. Get it? Because it's a mitten and it's cold
gotcha.
and snow. Also, can we just take a moment and honor the vehicle?
Well, if you notice.
I mean, it's 1985. And if you, sometimes I think about car design and I think it really hasn't changed that much. But then you see something like that and you're like, wow, we had very square, rectangular, boxy vehicles back then.
That's not what I'm thinking about. As somebody who goes out in the snow every day when it's out there.
That wasn't four-wheel drive?
Rear-wheel drive. We usually had, back when I started and probably back into this era, we usually had one, four-wheel drive type of Bronco, something along that line. Everybody else had one of those.
Yeah, and the kids these days, they want the SUV that drives well in the snow, and I don't blame them. But yeah, the boxy car. And that old logo, the old little lettering on there. Sorry, I saw the car and I was like, wow.
That's a throwback
that is
too.
solid
It is.
80s, solid 80s. But Hopkins Manufacturing, yeah, that was so fun to see and to know that, that innovation first was produced here and how it increased their sales back then.
Well, Emporia, I guess they kind of have a track record, though, for something else will open up because innovative products.
We hope so.
Our live truck that we used to have, with the 40-foot aluminum pole, that a new piece of equipment was put in not too long before I started. I believe it was the Camplex unit, and it was something that was manufactured in Emporia. And it revolutionized the way live shots were done across the country, well, probably across the world, because we usually started here and other people would jump on board. But we lost one of our best engineers to that company way back in the day. Everybody was, they loved him being around, so they're really disappointed when Rob left to go work for them. But that was another innovative company that Emporia had originated there, I think.
So yeah, all of that is just to say that a lot has happened in Emporia with a rich history. I think, finding these stories in the video vault show what a history and a presence and that Hopkins Manufacturing had in Emporia and the pride of the people who worked there. And so sending all our best and good thoughts to those folks, the more than 100 employees from Hopkins Manufacturing, who this week are facing a very different situation. But I hope that this lets you know that a lot of people out there realize the work that you did and the contributions that you've made in our daily lives. And so we wish all the best. Emporia is, of course, activating that rapid response team that they formed in the wake of Tyson's closure here after that announcement about a year and a half ago, and now the closure itself a year ago. So hopefully they've got some things in place that are going to help people be able to move forward as best as they possibly can when news like this happens. So Hopkins Manufacturing, we thank you. We thank the folks in Emporia who still are helping us out every day with the ice scraper. Well, hopefully not every day. You know, spring has to come.
And if you hear about the next big company that's opening, let us know. I'd like to go down there, do a story on it, and then in 40 years, maybe somebody can show that story about
in 40 years,
this is where it began.
Someone not us, because
I hope to be
retired,
semi-retired by then.
Someone who's not us can take us on a trip down memory lane as we relive these contributions that our Kansas workers make in our communities and in our nation and world. So thank you for taking this trip into the WIBW Video Vault with us. We'll see you back here next week.